Hello and welcome to another edition of Tabletop Today. This week, Blue-White Control in the standard format. Let's take a look. So as you can see here, we have the 27 lands, just, generic blue-white lands. 4 Haven of Spirit Dragons, because we are insane and we love our dragons and our Ugins. The goal of this deck, basically, is to outlast the control decks, survive long enough against the aggro decks and the mid-range decks, and just take over the game with our threats. Ways to do that is we have our 2 mana walls that draws a card if we have a dragon in play or in our hand. 2 mana draw spells at the end step. 2 main deck Encase the Ices for our targeted green and red removal spells is our target red green removal spells. Most of the formats red and green. If it's not red and green, then we have things in the board to switch it out for. And then 4 main deck of Force Spike, if not Dragon Counterspell. There have been more than one time where a Force Spike is good enough, so it's a good spell. Divine Light, a nice one-off removal spell, comes out against some matchups, particularly ones that have a protection from white or hexproof. But beyond that, it's a pretty good removal spell. Convoke too, so in case you need to cheat mana even more. 2 Dissolves, I never wanted any more, never wanted any less. It's perfectly fine at 2. A Monument, it's an extra unofficial dragon, and it's a beater. You board it out against the aggro matchups because it's just an extra dead card. And it's amazing in the control matchups. Gives you another mana source, and then eventually is another dragon to attack with. 2 Ojukai commands. They're pretty solid. Gain 4, draw a card. Counter spell. Counter creature spell. Return one of my creatures from the graveyard to play. Counter creature spell. Draw a card. Gain 4 life. Draw a card. Like it's all there. It's just everything you want. I mean, it's not cryptic, but it's the next thing we got close to it. 2 5 mana wrath spells. Fantastic. This is what gets us against these mid-range decks and our control matchups. You can actually just get them to overcommit. Wrath, go to your turn, blow them out. Icefall Region's amazing. It's a 4/3 for 5 that freezes things and costs them much more mana than the efficient cheap counter spells to remove it. And then you just beat them down with it. Ojutai, same thing. 5/4 can't kill unless I am attacking with it, and then it's an anticipation on the stick. It's fantastic. Then we end the curve with Dig Through Times and Ugins. Because of the Havens, you don't care if your dragons die as much because you just get to bring them back and play them again. More than once I've cycled through Ugin like 3 times in a game. My opponent you waste all the resources and you're like, cool, eventually this spell will not die and I'm just going to kill you. That's the main deck. We'll order the board. We have 2 Glare of Heresies for all the anything with white in it. So red, white, Jeskai, the Mirror, Esper, there's so much. They could just Abzan, it just takes care of their white creature permanent or permanent. So Elspeths and whatnot. We run Soulfire Grandmaster, a 3-pair in the board. I didn't like it in the beginning because I thought it was a Jeskai only card. It should only work if you have lifelink spells. But then I realized that when you can get to 8, 9, 10 mana, you can start chaining your 2 mana counterspell. So costs 2 to play this, 4 to activate. So on turn 6 and 7, you just get to go counterspell bounce, counterspell bounce, counterspell bounce. Cool. So it's unofficial buyback. It's really cool. We got a red-black removal for attacking and blocking creatures, gain 2 life. Pretty good. Comes in over the Encase if you have a weird scenario. If not, it comes in just in general, just to deal with black aggro creatures. Elspeth. It's Elspeth. It's a 6-drop. It makes me tokens. Gets rid of these dumb dragons in the red-green decks and their big attackers. Helps to clean up the board in the green-white decks, and then eventually just go boop and then fly with all your dudes. A Resolute Angel. It's on paper for the red-green. It's on paper for mid-range decks. I have yet to cast it yet, so it's there. It's there based on paper theory. I just don't feel comfortable playing a 7-drop against mono red. I don't think that's what it's there for. So we're gonna see in testing. Another Encase for anything with the X green matchup. 3 Dancers. They're pretty fantastic. You can just drop it face down. It's a 2/2 beater. Flip. It's a 3/2 beater that counters their removal spell or counters their card draw spell. More than once, you just go dig. No, attack. Dragon Lord Prerogative card is amazing. Is the way you beat the Esper decks because they can't counter it. You show you a dragon. I control a dragon. I'm gonna draw 4 cards, and then you just don't fall behind because you're +4 cards for a very easy 6. When we used to be paying 5 for 3, and we're fighting over that 5 with counter spells. So you're actually playing your 5-drop Jace's Ingenuity. on like turn 7 or 8. Now I could just jam Dragon Lord on 6 on the red step and just not care because I have dragons in my hand. And then one more command because just to bring it in against the mid-range matchups and the control matchups, just to give you more ways to cycle, countering the bomb threats, and then drawing cards. So that is the blue-white control deck. If you like it, you don't like it, feel free to comment away in the comment section below and let me know what your opinion is.